The Church and its involvement in the Holocaust has always been a controversial topic. The Church did not help the Jews as much as people today would have liked, so a lot of people are generally pretty judgmental, especially towards Pope Pius XII about his lack of involvement. When the Protestant Church in Germany split, becoming the confessing church on one side and the German Christians on the other, the German people who associated with German Christians showed their true colors because they were supporting the Nazis. Even though World War II was hard and scary for everyone involved, the Church should have had more people like Dietrich Bonhoeffer who put their lives at risk in order to help the victims of the Holocaust.
Looking back, I know what we did was not right. As Christians, as a religion where the mantra is to love others first and foremost, we were not exemplifying that by following the Nazis and becoming German Christians. You have to understand, though, how difficult it was to go against the Nazis. Everyone was scared. You didn't know who to trust. You didn't know who your friends were, who your enemies were. So I did the only thing I thought I could do to protect my family. And instead of taking a stance with the confessing church, I simply became a German Christian. We so wanted to believe what the Nazis were telling us, that it was all for Germany, that we were going to help Germany become the nation it was before World War I. If I had known even for a second everything the Nazis were doing to the Jews, I'd like to believe I would have stood up to them. But would I? Human beings are inherently selfish. What would I have done any differently? I just don't know.
Dietrich Bonhoeffer is a perfect example of one who stood up for what he believed in, even at the expense of his own life. According to a newspaper article about the life of Bonhoeffer and his impact on World War II, Christianity in Germany was facing its greatest challenge, and this became acute after Hitler came to power in 1933. Many churchmen conformed to this new regime, but Bonhoeffer and Barth were among those from several religious traditions who resisted. Bonhoeffer and his good friend Barth both resisted the Nazi regime, and Bonhoeffer started the Confessing Church, a group of church members who opposed the regime and aided and hid Jews.
There was no question in my mind. From the beginning, I knew I wanted to take a stance against the Nazis. What is the second commandment in the Bible? Love your neighbor as yourself. That's all I was doing. Yes, it was dangerous. As you can see, I'm in a Nazi concentration camp after being arrested by the Gestapo. But would I change anything? No, I would not. It only takes one person to stand up for what is right, and others will follow. The Allies will be here soon, and this horrid war will be over. I may not have been able to save all the people who were sent to the concentration camps, but I hope I made an impact. Showed others that they did not have to bow down to Hitler or the Nazis, because good will always triumph over evil in the end.
The Catholic Church did not undergo the same divisions as the Protestant Church, simply because the Catholic Church leaders were suspicious of National Socialism. The Catholic Church was also aligned with the Social Democrats and the leftist Democrat Party, which were both politically against right-wing parties such as the Nazis. Pope Pius XII never supported the Nazis, but he never really made a stance against them either, which is why he is such a controversial figure when it comes to the Holocaust.
I've been criticized for my actions ever since the end of the war. What people do not realize, though, is that I had a religion to lead and a group of people to look out for. It's not as if I stood around and did nothing while hundreds of thousands of Jews were murdered. I protested against the deportation of the Jews multiple times, but I was in Italy, and most of this was happening in Germany, which made everything a good deal more difficult. What Hitler did was wrong, but I'm not the only one with religious authority to blame. What about the British, French, or Americans? Why didn't they help sooner? Everyone is guilty. There is not one group of people besides those sent to concentration camps who are innocent. We just have to learn from the Holocaust and not let a genocide like this ever happen again.
With the rise of the Nazis, the Protestant Church in Germany split two ways. There were the German Christians, who were in agreement with Hitler's ideas, and the Confessing Church, where the church leaders were concerned with blocking state and ideological interference in church affairs. The German Christians were those who welcomed the nationalistic and racial aspects of the Nazis. The Confessing Church, on the other hand, declared that the church only needed to be loyal to God and Scripture, not Hitler. Many Jews felt very resentful towards the Catholic Church and towards the Protestant Church for their lack of involvement in the Holocaust.
This is no easy thing to talk about. I'm sure you can imagine. The thing is, I've tried to block the Holocaust from my mind. I was young, only 15 when I was first deported. The train ride was horrific. So many people packed into such a tiny space, and it was so hot. We had no food, no water for 3 days. I cried most of the trip. We made a stop one time to refuel, and I was near the door, and there was a crack, and I could see through. And I saw that we were near church. I know the people going in the church must have heard us. There was so much wailing, and the sound of despair was everywhere. Yet these people did nothing. They kept on walking. And that was when I lost my faith a little bit. And I saw those people walking into the church, yet refusing to help us.
Even though the Jews did not have much say in what happened to them, the German citizens and people in surrounding countries had multiple opportunities to help those who were victims of the Nazis. There is always the chance to be a better person, and those who had the opportunity to save the Jews should have, simply because it was the right thing to do in such dire circumstances. In the words of Dietrich Bonhoeffer, "It is the characteristic excellence of the strong man that he can bring momentous issues to the fore and make a decision about them. The weak are always forced to decide between alternatives they have not chosen themselves." In the case of the Holocaust, even though the Jews were made weak by Hitler, the people who were truly weak were those who did not intervene and help the victims of the Nazis.